everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today we're going to do a garden update because my garden had its first 100-degree day. Alright guys, so my garden had its first 100-degree day today, and some things went good and some things went bad. So I was gonna put up another medicinal Friday video, but then I was like, no, this is important because I know a lot of people that follow me or first-time gardeners, and this was a hot day. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was just kind of making sure their garden was great and going nicely and not freaking out, or because it's not the end of the world, I will say that. So first thing I want to point out to you guys is that the 100-degree days right now are your spring 100-degree days. They're not like your summer 100-degree days. So these days are going to cool down during the night and be like a normal 60, 65, 70, maybe 75 at like the warmest at night. So it's going to allow your plants a chance to kind of relax from the heat. When you get to the point where we're in the middle of August and it's like 110 or 118 during the day and then 103 at night, then you're gonna be a little bit more concerned about your plants. So the first thing I want to talk about is watering. Right now is not the time that you need to be watering your plants twice a day. So I'm going to show you what overwatering looks like, because I have destroyed a lot of my beans because of two reasons. Alright guys, I'm so disappointed, but my beans are having a bit of a struggle, and we're going to kind of discuss why, so that way you guys can learn from my mistakes. So first, I overwatered these beans a lot, and it was because it still had the little tray on it, and usually I pop these things off, and I don't know what happened, but I didn't think about it. So this was holding a lot of water, and I was wondering why I was getting a lot of nets, and I was just like, okay, maybe something's going on, maybe it was the soil, but no, it was because these were holding a bunch of water. So I lost a lot of beans just due to rot with the water being in there. Now it's really easy to think like, okay, well, it's super hot. I'm hot when I go outside, so therefore my plant needs to be drenched in water. That's totally not the case. They need water, and yes, all plants need water to live, but they don't need to be soaking in water. So you want to make sure that if you have those little water reserve trays on there, most people think like, okay, when you live in the desert, you should always have those on there. I typically always pop those off of each and every one of my pots, and it's because it will hold too much water and then it'll dry out on the top, but that top won't soak the water from the bottom, so it'll just be like soaking wet on the bottom. And then you look at it and you think, oh, it needs more water, so you water it again, and then it just creates just a soil rot. Alright guys, now the second problem with those beans was the shade cloth. Now it is important to have shade cloth on your garden when it gets hot. Even right now, even though the nights are going to get cooled down, it's still important that you have that shade cloth up there. We have some wind going on right now, so it's moving my shade cloth around, which brings the problem of is that you don't want the shade cloth laying on the leaves of your vegetables. So when that happens, they burn. So as you can see, this was pretty much laying on the top of them, so it was touching, and so it got too hot. So these beautiful leaves have now burned off. So instead of looking like these beans, they look like these beans. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring these down by one, and then that way this won't have a chance of being put on top of this, because I pretty much have them kind of propped up with these tomato cages. Now eventually we're going to have this built out in the same structure that is built out here, but as you guys know, gardening is a journey, not a fast-moving race. So we are building things kind of as we can and making it happen as we are. So the other thing I want to tell you guys is that you want to water in the morning so that your plants have a chance of getting full of water. And that way they have the best chance of really surviving throughout the night, or throughout the day. So I'm going to show you my tomato plant so you can see how pretty it is and how not everything is bad right now. When it doesn't have shade cloth touching it, it's been watered, and it's pretty much kind of in a secure, nice location. So see guys, not everything is bad. My squash are loving this nice hot weather. My peppers are growing back strong. The Armenian cucumbers are starting to make their little growth. And look at the beautiful, beautiful tomato plant. And as you can see, even though these leaves were exposed, they didn't get burned up because they did have enough water. So we still have a lot of beautiful tomatoes. So guys, the next thing I want to talk about is wind. As you can see, I'll show you how windy it is. It just kind of calmed down when I pointed to it, but it's gotten really, really windy, and it's blowing hot wind in the Arizona desert. So my big tomato plant is getting tossed from one side to the other. As you can see, it's like all the way down, laid down on the arch, and it's just getting really, really tore apart. And the problem is that once the branches get bent to where they're not getting as much water, then it kind of kills those leaves. So yes, that is very, very sad that my giant tomato plant is getting tore up in this Arizona hot windstorm. But I also have to remember that everything has its season. These little okra plants are wanting more light and more sun because they love the Arizona sun. And with this shade cloth being on the front of them, they'll be happy. So eventually, this space is going to need more light shining down on it. So that tomato plant eventually is going to have to go anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm just letting it live its life cycle, and I am collecting all the amazing tomatoes off of it. I have bags of cherry tomatoes in my freezer. I have jarred cherry tomatoes. I have dehydrated cherry tomatoes. So we are not hurting for cherry tomatoes. So if this plant is, slowly dying, that's totally fine with me, because the next thing is going to be okra, and I am pretty excited about that. Now, the one thing that I am going to make sure that I'm going to do is I want to make sure that all of my pots are full of potting soil, and also everything is heavily mulched. So tonight and tomorrow when it's cool, I am going to mulch and make sure all of the pots are completely full. And I'll show you guys my little setup here. So I have 2 bags of potting soil and 2 bags of mulch. I use the Kellogg's Organics Potting Plus, and then also I use the Garden Time Western Shredded Cedar Red Mulch, or Red Cedar Shredded Mulch. So you want to make sure that you're putting a big, nice, thick, heavy layer of mulch onto things. So that's the game plan, guys. And as you can see, yes, there are some loss, but there are going to be way more wins, including something that I am going to harvest on Monday that I have not harvested in a while. So I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm just going to make sure that my garden is completely mulched and put the shade cloth up and just make sure that it doesn't dry out in this hot Arizona desert, and we will survive. We will be just fine. So make sure you guys are planning your gardens. Make sure you're planting the appropriate things for your garden right now. If you're trying to plant lettuce in the desert, that's not a great time right now. It's 100 degrees. So plant stuff that's going to survive, like these beautiful squash, or some, basil, or some eggplants, or some peppers. There's tons of things that you can grow right now when it's 100 degrees, so don't be afraid to try it. Even Malabar spinach, which I'm pretty excited about. So I also just want to let you guys know that on tomorrow's video for my garden tour, so you guys can see exactly what all I have going on in here, I am going to announce the giveaway. So I was going to do a live, but it's been a crazy week and I'm a little exhausted. So I'll save the live for when I have more energy. But I'm going to announce the giveaway and how you guys enter and what the big prize is and our big sponsor is. So until next time, grow yourselves a garden, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye guys.